Hello and welcome to my channel GMAT Monk. In this video I am going to cover your GMAT exam. So what are the exam pattern, what is the syllabus, how you should pick your 5B schools at the time of taking GMAT exam, then the scoring, the exam duration, the breaks and everything else I would cover about your GMAT exam. So let's move ahead and get started. So let's get started, guys. All about GMAT exam. So your MBA journey would start from your GMAT exam. So what are the topics that we are going to cover in this video? So what are your skill tested? It's a computer adaptive test. So how the test will go, and then what are the sections? Then what is the GMAT syllabus? What are the GMAT exam pattern and orders? You can choose your orders, your preferred sequence. Then the exam date and application date. Then exam fee and rescheduling fee, and then we would cover the duration and breaks, the score range, the score validity and attempts. Then you can send your score to 5 colleges. Then what are the valid ID proof that you can take with you while taking your GMAT exam. Then what is a good GMAT score, and then I would lastly cover a few good BA schools that you can consider. So let's move ahead and see what are the skills tested on your GMAT exam. So is it your math skill that is tested? No, not just the math skill. Is it your English skills? No, it's not the English skill also. So if you are not very good in English, many people I have seen that they say that I'm not very good in English and I have a non-English background, or they are non-native speakers. So they are doubtful that they can fare well in the GMAT exam or not. So there is a good news for them. They can also get a very good score in your GMAT exam. So what is it that is tested on your GMAT exam? It's the management skills. So it's a managerial skill through your data and communication. So what does a manager do? A manager would manage its employees or its team and the customers or the various interdepartmental colleagues. So he would manage its employee or different people through communication and then data. He will present some data, so he need to understand about the data. He need to interpret the data. He need to take the decision based on some data point, and then he should effectively communicate it to its team or the customer or the suppliers. So what GMAT would test is, it would test your aptitude or analytical skills. It would test your decision making through data sufficiency, you can say. It would test your effective communication through verbal section. It would test your data handling through IR, integrated reasoning. And it would test your reasoning skills also through critical reasoning or reading comprehension or analytical writing assessment. So let's move ahead. So GMAT is an adaptive test. It's basically a computer adaptive test, CAT. So the questions will be of increasing or decreasing difficulty level, depending upon how fairly you have done on your last question. So we will see it by example. So here is an example that your first question would be, let's say it's a medium difficulty level and you answered it correctly. So your next question would be a little more difficult. And if you again answered it correctly, then the next question would again be a little more difficult than the previous question. So the level of difficulty would increase. Now at this point, if you made a mistake and answered this question wrongly, then the next question would be of a lower difficulty level or easier question you will get. So again, if you answered it correctly, then again the next question would be a little more difficulty level. So this way you can say that it's an adaptive test, and the question level would vary depending upon how fairly you have done with your last question. So last question, if you answered correctly, then the next question would be a little difficult, and the last question, if you made a mistake and answered it wrongly, then the next question would be easier. So this will also impact your score, because if you are answering difficult questions correctly, then you would get more score for that difficult question, and if you are answering easier questions correctly, then there would not be that much weightage for that question. So if you are answering difficult questions correctly, then your score will be obviously higher. So let's move ahead. How many sections are there and what are the topics? So basically 3 sections would be there in GMAT exam. So first section would be quant section, then there would be a verbal section, then there will be a integrated reasoning and analytical writing assessment section. So there will be two topics here, IR and AVA, but the section would be one because you have to do these two topics together. That is IR and AWA would come together. So there will be total 3 sections. Now the ordering of the sections I would cover after a few slides. So as 3 sections are there, but 4 subjects would be there. Quantitative aptitude would be there, then verbal reasoning, integrated reasoning, and then analytical writing assessment, AWA. Now main topics would be around 7. So what are the main topics? Problem solving and data sufficiency. These will be part of your quant. Then there will be sentence correction, critical reasoning, and reading comprehension. These 3 will be part of your verbal. And then you would get integrated reasoning and analytical writing, that is AWA. So the detailed syllabus, the subsections and different subtopics under each of these subjects I would cover in a specific video for GMAT syllabus. So the link of which I have given in the description box and also in the I button. So you must watch that video and find out what are the topics that are tested in GMAT exam. So what is the syllabus? Quantitative aptitude, there will be problem solving and data sufficiency. The second would be your verbal reasoning. There will be reading comprehension, the critical reasoning, and then sentence correction. Then you would get integrated reasoning. In integrated reasoning, you will have 4 type of questions or 4 type of topics. The first would be graphical interpretation, then table analysis, then you would get 2-part analysis, and then multi-source reasoning. So each and everything about these topics and the examples I have covered in my separate video for integrated reasoning. Then the 4th topic would be your analytical writing assessment. So there can be 2 type of AWA essay. So one would be issue based and another can be argument based. So normally in GMAT, argument based essays are asked nowadays. So next we would cover exam pattern. So the GMAT exam would be objective exam. This would not be a subjective exam except for your AWA, where you have to write an essay. So apart from your AWA, each and every question would be optional. That is, you would be given 5 options, A, B, C, D, and E, and then you have to pick one out of those 5 options. So first topic would be quant. So quant would be comprised of 31 questions. There will be 62 minutes of duration. The questions would be option based, and the score range would be 6 to 51. So minimum score you would get is 6. That is, if you have answered each and every questions, all the 31 questions wrongly, then also you would get 6 marks. That is, some algorithm is there for GMAT scoring, and maximum you can get 51 score. So 6 to 51 is the score range, and there will be 2 topics, problem solving and data sufficiency. Now after quant, there would be an 8 minutes of optional break. It's an optional break, so you can take this 8-minute break, or you can go directly to the verbal section and start your next section. But it is suggested that you should take the break and get some water or use the washroom and get relaxed for 8 minutes. But again, there is an important thing that you have to come back to your seat and start your next section within that 8 minutes itself, because it's an 8-minute break, and if you have taken that break and you are coming back in 10 minutes or 12 minutes, then that 4-minute extra would be deducted from your next section. So next section would be verbal section. So there would be 36 questions in verbal, and the duration would be 65 minutes. The next section duration would be 65 minutes. This again would be option based question, and the score range would again be 6 to 5. So minimum score you can get 6 and maximum you can get 51. But from my experience, I have not seen anyone getting 51 in verbal. Normally people get 47 or 48 maximum, and if they get 48 in verbal and 50 or 51 in quant, then they get a perfect 800 score in GMAT. Now verbal would be comprising of sentence correction, critical reasoning and reading comprehension. And after this section again there would be an 8 minutes of optional break. And after this optional break you would be getting IR and AWA, the third section. And there will not be any break in between these 2 sections. So IR would be comprising of 12 questions, and there would be 30 minutes to answer these 12 questions. This again would be option based, and this is basically data interpretation type. And the score range would be 1 to 8. So minimum score you would get is 1 and maximum score you would get is 8. So there are 4 type of question: graphical, table, 2-part analysis and multi-source reasoning. And then after finishing this subsection IR, you would directly go to the next part of this section, that is AWA. So there will be 1 essay, normally argument based essay would be there. So 30 minutes duration again. So for IR also 30 minutes would be there, and then for AWA also there would be 30 minutes. So argument based writing would be there, and the range of a score would be 0 to 6. So you can get the minimum score as 0 and the maximum score you can get is 6. So there would be an argument or a small passage would be given, and you have to analyze that passage, and then you have to critique that passage, that what the author has said, how he has reached the conclusion, and is their reasoning good or bad for reaching that conclusion. So next we would cover ordering options. So just now we covered that there would be 3 sections, quant section, verbal section, and then IR and AWA. At the time of GMAT exam, you would get to choose your preferred sequence. There would be 3 options, 3 orders would be there, and out of these 3 orders you can pick one. So order 1 would be IR and AWA first, followed by quant, and then followed by verbal. In between these 2 sections there would be 8-minute break here and 8-minute break here. Now the order 2 would be verbal first, followed by quant, and then followed by IR plus AWA. So again here would be a 8-minute break, and here again the 8-minute break would be there. Now the third order would be quant first, then verbal, and then IR and AWA. So among these 3 options you can select one as per your preference. Now the GMAT exam date versus B school application date. It is very important that you decide when you are going to take your GMAT exam because ultimately you have to apply to a B school and get admission. So if your B school admission deadline is let's say in September, and you have not finished your GMAT exam till date, then you would miss those deadlines. So you have to find out the deadlines of your application for your preferred or selected B schools, and then based on the deadlines of your preferred B schools, you have to decide when you should finish your exam. Because GMAT exam is just one thing, and after finishing your GMAT exam there will be different things to do while applying to a business school. So you have to write essays, you have to prepare your resume, you have to get your transcript, you have to get some recommendations. So those things would also take at least 1 month. So it is better that you finish your GMAT exam early. So the good strategy is at least 1 month before round 1 deadline of your first dream B school that you are going to apply. So you have to finish your GMAT exam at least 1 month before applying to your first B school. Now ideal or the best thing would be at least 2 to 3 months before round 1 deadline of your first dream B school that you are going to apply. So if you have 2 months or more than that, then it's very good because you have to decide the colleges also, you can select your college, you can do more research on colleges, you can prepare for your interviews. So it would be ideal that you have 2 or 3 months in your hand. So round 1 of certain B schools start during August or September, and for many others it starts during October. So let's say we are considering September as your round 1 deadline of your first dream B school. So you should finish your exam at least by mid-July. Now recommended GMAT exam date before end of July for applying to round 1 and before end of September for applying to round 2. Let's move ahead. So now we would cover exam fee and the rescheduling fee. So GMAT exam fee is $250, US dollar $250, which would be around 18,000 Indian rupees. And you have the option to reschedule your exam. When you approach that appointment date and you feel that you are not well prepared and you need a little more time, then you can reschedule your appointment, the GMAT appointment. So if you have decided 60 days prior to the appointment that you need to reschedule your GMAT exam date, then it will take $50. If they are rescheduling their examination or the appointment, GMAT appointment, 15 to 60 days prior, then it would take $100. And if they are rescheduling their appointment within 15 days, then it would take $150 to reschedule. Earlier it was $60 for rescheduling before 7 days. Last year GMAT has revised its rescheduling fee, and the fees are like this. So you can use credit card for payment. Now what is the duration, the score and the validity? The exam duration would be around 3.5 hours. So as I mentioned, 65 minutes for verbal, 62 minutes for your quant, and then 30 plus 30 minutes for your IR and AWA. So this total would be around 3 hours and 7 minutes. Now apart from this, there would be 2 8-minute breaks. So the total would be around 3 hours and 23 minutes. So around 3.5 hour duration would be there. Now the score range would be 200 to 800. So even if you have answered all the questions wrongly, then also you would get 200 as the minimum score. So minimum you would get 200 and maximum you can get 800. A good score would be 700 plus. Ideal score would be 720 plus. This is an scale score and the higher is the better. Now it's very important to know that the only quantitative and the verbal sections would contribute towards your total score, whatever you are getting out of 800. So you are getting 720 or 710, then only the quant and the verbal score would contribute towards the total score, and the IR section and AWA section will be scored separately and they will not contribute towards your total score, that is out of 800. Now the score, validity and attempts. So the score is valid for 5 years. So let's say you have taken the exam, GMAT exam in 2020, so your GMAT score would be valid till 2025. So you can take the GMAT exam 5 times in a year and there would not be a fixed date. You can take or book your own appointment dates based on your preference. And attempts in life, so you can take the GMAT exam 8 times in your lifetime, and gap between 2 consecutive attempts should be at least 16 days. So if you have taken your test, let's say on 15th July, then the next attempt you can take only on or after 1st August. So you can book your GMAT exam and take the appointment by going to mba.com. Here you can go and make your profile, your user ID and password. So GMAT is a body which is Graduate Management Admission Council, which conduct your GMAT exam. Now a score sent to 5 B schools. At the time of exam, you would need to select 5 B schools where you would like to send your GMAT scores. So basically you have to send your official GMAT score to all the B schools that you are applying to. This is mandatory. You have to send your official GMAT score or your official TOEFL score to the B school that you are applying to, and it would cost around $41 for sending a score to a particular B school. Now in the GMAT exam fee of $250, it includes the cost for sending official GMAT score to 5 B schools. After finishing your GMAT exam, if you accept your score, then your score would be sent to those 5 schools that you have selected at the beginning of the exam. Now ID proof for GMAT exam. This is a very important point to note, that the only identity proof that is allowed while taking GMAT exam is your valid passport. Valid passport means your passport should not be expired on the date of your appointment. So if you do not have passport, please go and apply for your passport. That is one thing. And the second thing is, if you already have a passport, you go and check your passport validity. That is, it should be valid on the date of exam. So next would be GMAT scoring. So here is a chart in which you can get how much you should score in quant and how much you should score in verbal to get a particular target score in GMAT. So if you get 46 in quant and 42 in verbal, you can get a 710 score in your GMAT. So try to get at least 700 in your GMAT exam, and a 720 or higher would be a very good or great score to get into top rank B school. So here are some combinations. If you get Q50 and V40 or 41, you can get 740. If you get Q51 and V40 or 41, then you can get 750. If you get Q50, that is quant 50, and 34 or 35 in your verbal, then you can get 700 score. So these are some combinations. So here are few good B schools with 2020 world rankings and average GMAT score. That is how much average GMAT score of the students admitted in 2020 in a particular B school. So we would see some good B school or MBA college in USA. So rank 1 is Harvard. This ranking is based on 2020 world ranking, and the average GMAT score for Harvard is 730. Rank 2 is Wharton, and the average GMAT score is 722. Rank 3 is Stanford. 734 is the average GMAT score, and there are thousands of other B schools. So you can select your own B school. You can research on the rankings and the average GMAT score or the B schools. You can go to Financial Times ranking ft.com, where you can find the top 100 B schools around the world. So in Canada you can find these B schools. Now in Europe you can find these B schools: INSEAD, LBS, that is London Business School, HEC Paris, IESE, Cambridge, Oxford. Then in India you can have IIM Bangalore as the top B school as per FT ranking. Then ISB is there, Indian School of Business. The average GMAT score is 709 and the rank is 28, the world ranking. Then IIM Kolkata, then IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Lucknow, XLRI and IIM Indore are also good B schools that accept your GMAT score. Then we have few good BA schools in other countries also, like CIVS China, the ranking is 5 and the average GMAT score is 686. Then NUS Singapore, National University of Singapore is a very good BA school and the ranking is 15. Then HKUST China, IMD Switzerland, then HTA Italy, then in Netherlands there is Rotterdam, then Mannheim, Germany, Melbourne Business School in Australia. These are few very good business schools in different countries. So this will give you a good idea of what are the BA school in which country. You can do more research on BA schools. So these scores are not their minimum requirement, it's just an average score for the students enrolled. So that's it in this video. We have covered the GMAT syllabus, the GMAT exam and the pattern, the sections, GMAT exam durations, the exam fee and rescheduling fee, the identity proof, few good BA schools. So all these things we have covered in this video. So I hope you would like this video. So if you have liked this video, please subscribe my channel and do not forget to like and share this video and other videos of my channel also. And please hit the bell icon also so that you can get the notification of my next video. And you can follow me on social media also. You can directly mail me on gmatmonk@gmail.com. On Facebook you can follow me on GMAT Monk, on Twitter GMAT Monk, and on Instagram also on GMAT Monk you can follow me. So thank you guys, meet you in my next informative video. Thank you.